The Texas sun beat down hard outside Crestwood Academy, but inside the principal's office, the air was ice-cold and heavy. Ethan Brooks stood there, his worn-out backpack slung over one shoulder, his heart thumping like a drum in his chest. Principal Harold Grayson sat behind his desk, his steely eyes boring into Ethan like he was dirt under a boot. "This school's for kids with a future, Ethan, not farmhands," Grayson said, his voice dripping with contempt, each word landing like a slap. Ethan's stomach knotted up tight. He'd always known he stuck out here. While other kids rolled up in shiny SUVs, decked out in designer threads, he showed up in second-hand sneakers, his hands calloused from pitching hay with his dad before dawn. But he'd fought for his place. Straight A's, late nights studying by a flickering lamp. "I work hard. I belong here," he shot back, his voice trembling but holding steady. Grayson smirked, leaning back in his chair like a king on a throne. "Hard work's not enough, kid. We've got a reputation to uphold. And you drag it through the mud." Before Ethan could argue, the office door swung open with a creak. 2 security guards stepped in, their boots thudding on the polished floor. Ethan's breath caught, his world tilted as Grayson waved a hand. "Escort him out," the principal ordered, cold as steel. The guards grabbed his arms, firm and unyielding, dragging him toward the exit. The hallway buzzed. Kids stopped dead, staring. Some whispered behind their hands. Others didn't bother hiding their laughs. Caleb, the richest kid in school, leaned against a locker, his grin sharp as a blade. "Back to the barn, hayseed," he taunted, loud enough for everyone to hear. Ethan's jaw clenched tight. He wouldn't give them the satisfaction of seeing him crack. They dumped him outside, his backpack hitting the ground with a dull thud, the school's big oak doors slamming shut behind him. The walk home was a blur, dust kicking up under his sneakers, shame burning hot in his chest. His parents waited on the porch, his mom's eyes red, his dad's face carved with worry. "They kicked me out," he mumbled, throat so tight he could barely speak. His mom gasped, hand over her mouth. His dad pulled him into a rough hug. "We'll figure it out, son," he said, voice low. But Ethan caught the tremor of doubt. That night, Ethan lay in bed, staring at the cracked ceiling of their little farmhouse. Anger churned inside him, mixing with a deep, gnawing hurt. He'd done nothing wrong, nothing but be a farmer's kid in a rich kid's world. Crestwood had chewed him up and spit him out, all because of where he came from. Grayson's words looped in his head. No future, no place. And Caleb's laugh stung like a fresh cut. He balled his fist under the blanket, wishing, just once, that someone would see him, really see him, and fight back. Someone with pull, someone who could make them eat those words. Little did he know that someone was already on the way, and tomorrow would flip everything upside down. Buckle up, folks. This story starts with a punch to the gut, but it's about to soar. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell, because Ethan's fight? It's just getting started, and you won't want to miss a second of it. Let's roll into this Texas tale together. The Texas morning broke clear and quiet over Crestwood Academy, the kind of day where the air smells like fresh-cut grass and promise. Kids shuffled toward class, their sneakers scuffing the sidewalk, while teachers sipped coffee in the break room, trading small talk about the weekend. Ethan Brooks was nowhere in sight. Yesterday's expulsion still hung like a shadow over the school, a whisper on every tongue. Then it hit, a low, thundering roar rolling in from the horizon, growing louder, shaking the ground beneath their feet. Heads snapped up, eyes widened. Students bolted outside, spilling onto the front lawn, shielding their faces against the blazing sun. Teachers stumbled after them, mugs forgotten, as a sleek black helicopter sliced through the sky, its blades chopping the air with a deafening whoomp, whoomp, whoomp. It hovered, then dropped fast, landing dead center on the manicured grass, kicking up clouds of dust and chaos. Principal Harold Grayson stormed out of the building, his tie flapping, his face red as a ripe tomato. "What in the Sam Hill is this?" he bellowed, fists balled tight, his voice barely cutting through the noise. The crowd froze, a sea of gaping mouths and darting eyes, as the chopper's engines wound down. Dust settled, blades slowed, and the door slid open with a smooth hiss. Out stepped a man, tall, sharp as a razor in a dark suit, his sunglasses catching the light like a warning flare. Two aides in crisp jackets followed, their faces unreadable, but it was the logo on the helicopter that sent a jolt through everyone. Langston Agricorp, sprawled in bold silver letters. That name meant power, money, fields stretching farther than the eye could see, the biggest agricultural empire in America. This wasn't just anyone. This was Victor Langston himself, a billionaire who turned Texas dirt into a billion-dollar legacy. Grayson's fury flickered, his mouth twitching as he forced a tight smile, stepping forward. "Mr. Langston," he said, his tone oily with fake charm. "This is quite a surprise. How can I assist you today?" Langston didn't blink. He pulled off his shades, his piercing blue eyes scanning the crowd like a hawk sizing up prey. His voice cut through the stunned silence, low and steady, every word landing like a hammer. "I'm here for Ethan Brooks." Gasps rippled through the students. Ethan Brooks, the farm kid they'd mocked out the door just yesterday? The one Grayson had called a stain on Crestwood's reputation? Whispers buzzed fast. Some kids pulled out phones, recording the scene. Others swapped wide-eyed looks. Caleb, the rich kid who'd led the taunts, stood near the front, his smug grin melting into something uneasy, his buddies shifting on their feet like they'd stepped in a hornet's nest. Grayson blinked hard, caught off guard, then let out a nervous chuckle. "Ethan? Well, Mr. Langston, I'm afraid he's no longer with us. Expelled, you see." Langston's gaze darkened, his jaw tightening just enough to make the air feel heavy. "I know," he said, his voice cold as a winter wind. "That's why I'm here." The crowd went dead quiet. No one moved, no one breathed. Something massive was unfolding, right there on Crestwood's pristine lawn, and it was about to turn their world upside down. "Stick with me, folks. This Texas tale's kicking into high gear, and it's gonna blow your mind." The Texas dawn barely broke over the horizon when Ethan Brooks jolted awake, a strange rumble shaking the walls of his family's weathered farmhouse. He'd spent the night tossing and turning, replaying Principal Grayson's cold words, "No future, no place," and Caleb's stinging taunts, the humiliation still raw like a fresh bruise. He stumbled out of bed, throwing on a faded t-shirt, when the rumble grew louder, rattling the windows. His dad, Tom Brooks, was already at the door, peering out with a furrowed brow, his mom right behind him, clutching his arm. "What in tarnation?" Tom muttered, stepping onto the porch. Ethan followed, his bare feet hitting the splintered wood, and stopped dead. The same sleek black helicopter from Crestwood Academy sat in their dusty yard, its blades slowing, dust swirling like a mini twister. The Langston Agricorp logo gleamed on its side, bold and silver, and Ethan's breath caught in his chest. Victor Langston, the billionaire who'd turned Texas farmland into an empire, stepped out, his dark suit crisp, his polished boots crunching gravel, his presence towering over the flat plains. Ethan's mom whispered, her voice shaky, "That's Victor Langston," as if saying it louder might break the spell. Tom's jaw tightened. He recognized that face from years back, a harvest job in '98 that nearly broke him. Langston locked eyes with Ethan, striding forward with purpose, his aides trailing like shadows. "You're Ethan Brooks," he said, his voice deep and sure. Not a question, a fact. Ethan swallowed hard, nodding. "Yes, sir." Langston's gaze flicked to the patchy fields, the rusted tractor, the peeling paint on the house, then landed on Tom. "Tom Brooks, we worked a season together way back. You were one hell of a worker." Tom hesitated, then shook his outstretched hand. "Yes, sir, I remember. Long days, good pay." Langston nodded, a faint smile tugging at his lips, then turned back to Ethan, his eyes sharpening. "Heard you got the boot from Crestwood yesterday." Shame flooded Ethan's face. He looked down, kicking dirt, but Langston's tone pulled him back. "Tell me what happened." Ethan took a shaky breath, his dad's nod urging him on, and let it spill. Grayson's sneer, the farmhand jab, Caleb's mocking laugh, the guards dragging him out like trash. Langston's jaw clenched tight as Ethan finished, his hands balling into fists for a split second before he regained that steely calm. "Injustice gets under my skin," he said, his voice low and edged with fire. He spun to an aide, a sharp-looking guy with a tablet. "Pull everything on Crestwood's board. Every decision, every dollar, now." The aide tapped away, nodding fast, while Langston's eyes bored into Ethan. "You're coming with me, kid. We're fixing this." Ethan's heart slammed against his ribs. "What?" His mom stepped forward, worry creasing her face. "Sir, what's this about?" Langston's gaze softened, just a touch. "It's about setting things right, ma'am. Your boy deserves better than what they gave him." Tom squeezed Ethan's shoulder, his voice steady. "Go, son. This is your shot." Ethan's head spun. This was insane, unreal, like a movie he'd stumbled into. He grabbed his sneakers, still caked with yesterday's mud, and climbed into the chopper, the leather seat cool against his skin. As the blades roared to life, lifting them off the cracked earth, he glanced back. His parents stood small against the farmhouse, pride and fear mixing in their eyes. Langston sat beside him, calm as stone, and Ethan knew this wasn't just a ride, it was a mission to turn the tables. Hang on, folks. This Texas story's picking up speed, and it's about to get wild. Hit that subscribe button because Ethan's not done yet. Victor Langston's got a plan, and it's gonna rattle Crestwood's cage. The Texas sun blazed high as the black helicopter roared back into Crestwood Academy, its blades slicing through the still air, kicking up a storm of dust and tension. Ethan Brooks sat strapped inside, his heart hammering against his ribs, staring out the window as the school's stone walls loomed closer. Yesterday's prison, now a battlefield. Victor Langston sat beside him, calm as a statue, his dark suit unruffled, his sharp eyes fixed ahead. The chopper touched down on the front lawn again, the same spot it had shocked silent hours before. And this time the crowd was ready. Students, teachers, even board members poured out, a buzzing swarm of whispers and wide eyes. Phones were up, filming every second. As the door slid open, Langston stepped out first, his boots hitting the grass with a thud that seemed to echo. Ethan right behind him, his muddy sneakers a stark contrast to the Billionaire's polish. Principal Harold Grayson pushed through the throng, his face pale but his jaw set, forcing a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Mr. Langston, he started, but Langston cut him off like a blade through butter, his voice ringing out clear and cold. "You screwed up, Grayson. Kicking out Ethan Brooks? That's a mistake you're gonna fix." The crowd hushed, a heavy silence settling as Langston turned to face them. Kids in designer gear, teachers clutching clipboards, board members in stiff suits. "This school brags about shaping the future," he said, his tone sharp enough to cut glass. "But you toss out a kid like Ethan because he's got dirt on his hands instead of silver in his pockets. That's not leadership, that's cowardice." Grayson stammered, sweat beading on his forehead. "It's a misunderstanding, sir. We have standards." Langston didn't flinch, his gaze pinning Grayson like a bug on a board. "Standards? I've got Ethan's file. Straight A's, top test scores, no trouble. You threw him out for prejudice, not performance." He nodded to an aide, a lean guy with a leather folder. "Biggest donation Crestwood's ever seen?" The aide flipped it open, quick and crisp. "1 million, sir." Langston smirked, his voice rising to carry across the lawn. "I'll give you 10 million, right now. One condition, reinstate Ethan Brooks, and you, Grayson, apologize to him in front of everyone today." The air went still, students gasped, teachers swapped stunned looks, Caleb slunk back, his rich kid swagger gone cold. Grayson's face flushed red, his hands twitching like he wanted to bolt. "That's highly irregular," he choked out, his voice thin and shaky. Langston checked his watch, cool as ice. 5 seconds, Grayson." The crowd held its breath. Phones zoomed in, capturing every bead of sweat trickling down the principal's face. 4. Langston counted, his tone flat but lethal. Grayson's eyes darted. Board members shifted, whispering, the weight of $10 million pressing down like a Texas heat wave. 3. Caleb stared at Ethan, his smirk long gone, replaced by something jittery. 2. Grayson's lips parted, a weak protest dying in his throat. 1. Langston raised an eyebrow, and Grayson cracked, his shoulders slumping. Fine, he blurted, forcing a laugh that fooled no one. Ethan's back, officially, and, I regret any unfairness. My fault, my oversight. The words were stiff, hollow, scraped out like gravel, but they hit the mark. Cheers erupted. Some kids clapped, others whooped, a few just gawked. Ethan stood tall, his fists unclenching, a rush of something fierce surging through him. Victory sure, but Langston's next move was about to make it bigger. Langston turned to Ethan, his voice dropping low, just for him. This isn't just about coming back, kid. It's about what's next. Ethan blinked, still dizzy from the win. Sir? Langston stepped closer, his eyes glinting with purpose. I'm starting a scholarship. Kids like you, overlooked but tough as nails. You're the first. Forget Crestwood. I'll train you at Langston AgriCorp. Ethan's breath caught. Stay and shove it in their faces, or grab something massive? Grayson sputtered behind them. Now wait a minute! But Langston waved him off, already motioning to the chopper. We're not done here, folks, he called to the crowd. But Ethan's got a choice to make. The students buzzed, phones still rolling, Caleb's glare burning holes. But Ethan felt the shift. This wasn't just redemption. It was a launch pad. Buckle up, folks. This Texas showdown's hitting a peak, and it's about to take off. The dust still swirled on Crestwood Academy's front lawn, the echo of Victor Langston's ultimatum hanging heavy in the Texas air. Ethan Brooks stood there, his muddy sneakers planted firm, his chest buzzing with a wild mix of victory and vertigo. Principal Harold Grayson had just choked out an apology, forced, hollow, but real. His red face glistening with sweat as the crowd of students and teachers buzzed around them, phones still rolling, capturing every shaky word. $10 million from Langston AgriCorp had bent Crestwood's iron rules, and Ethan was back, reinstated in front of everyone who'd laughed him out the door. Caleb, the rich kid who'd called him hayseed, slunk back into the throng, his smirk wiped clean, his buddies whispering nervously. Ethan could feel their eyes, some odd, some jealous, some just plain stunned. But it was Langston's voice that cut through the chaos, low and steady, meant just for him. This isn't about coming back, Ethan. It's about what's next. Ethan's breath hitched, his head spinning. What did that even mean? Langston stepped closer, his sharp blue eyes locking onto Ethan's, his dark suit a stark contrast to the school's sun-bleached walls. I'm starting a scholarship. Kids like you, tough, smart, overlooked. You're the first, he said, his tone firm like a handshake. Forget Crestwood. I'll train you myself at Langston AgriCorp. Business, leadership, the works. Ethan's heart slammed against his ribs. Stay here, rub it in their faces, prove he belonged, or leap into something bigger than he'd ever dreamed. Grayson sputtered from the sidelines, his voice cracking. Now hold on, Mr. Langston. This boy's back. Let's not. Langston waved him off like swatting a fly, his focus unwavering. Your call, Ethan, he said, nodding toward the helicopter, its blades glinting in the sun, ready to roar. The crowd watched, a hush falling over them, students leaning in, teachers clutching their clipboards, board members shifting in their loafers. Ethan's mind raced. Yesterday, he'd been trash to these people. Today, a billionaire was handing him the keys to a future they couldn't touch. He thought of his dad, Tom Brooks, back at the farmhouse. Those long talks under the stars, baling hay till their hands bled. Doors don't stay open, son. Grab 'em when they swing wide, Tom had said once, years back, when Ethan missed a shot at a summer job. Now Tom stood at the lawn's edge. He'd driven up in the old pickup after the chopper left, his weathered face tight with something Ethan hadn't seen before. Pride, raw and real. What's it gonna be, son? Tom called, his voice steady across the gap. Ethan's throat tightened. He could stay, shove it to Grayson, to Caleb, to every kid who'd snickered at his faded jeans, but Langston's offer? That was a rocket, not a redo. He took a deep breath, the Texas heat filling his lungs, and met his dad's eyes. "You told me to grab the chance, Dad. This is it." Tom nodded, a slow grin breaking through. "Go get it, Ethan. Make us proud." Ethan turned to Langston, his voice steady despite the shake in his knees. "I'm in, sir." Langston clapped his shoulder, a rare smile tugging at his lips. "Good choice, kid." The crowd erupted. Some cheered, some gawked. A few groaned as Ethan walked toward the chopper, Langston at his side. Grayson shouted something. "We can work this out!" But it drowned in the roar of the blades firing up. Ethan climbed in, the leather seat cool under him, and buckled up, his hands trembling just a little. He glanced out. Tom waved, a lone figure against the school's stone facade, Caleb's glare burning from the sidelines, Grayson's mouth flapping uselessly. The helicopter lifted off, the ground dropping away fast, Crestwood shrinking to a speck below. Those walls, those lockers, those mocking laughs fading into nothing. Ethan's stomach flipped. This wasn't just leaving. It was launching. A straight shot out of yesterday's wreckage. Langston sat across, calm as ever, flipping through a tablet. "You're not looking back, are you?" he asked, not glancing up. Ethan shook his head, a fire sparking deep. "No, sir, only forward. Buckle up, folks. This Texas kid's at a crossroads, and he's picking the fast lane." The helicopter sliced through the Texas sky, the flat plains of Crestwood fading fast below as Ethan Brooks gripped the leather seat, his knuckles white, his heart pounding like a jackhammer. The roar of the blades filled his ears, but it couldn't drown out the whirlwind in his head. Yesterday, he'd been kicked out of Crestwood Academy, a nobody in muddy sneakers. Now, he was flying with Victor Langston, the billionaire who'd just turned his world upside down. The chopper banked toward Dallas, the skyline rising sharp and gleaming, a forest of glass and steel against the horizon. It touched down smooth on the rooftop of a towering skyscraper, the Langston AgriCorp logo blazing in bold silver, a beacon of power stretching over the city. Ethan stepped out, the wind whipping his hair, his jaw dropping at the sight. Sleek lines, high-tech hum, a view that swallowed the Texas plains whole. Victor Langston strode ahead, his dark suit cutting a path, motioning Ethan to follow. "Keep up, kid. This is where it starts," he said, his voice steady over the fading rotor noise. They breezed past security, guards nodding quick, doors sliding open, into a high-tech office that felt like something out of a sci-fi flick. Floor-to-ceiling windows framed the Dallas skyline, sunlight bouncing off desks stacked with screens and charts. Langston stopped, turning to Ethan, his sharp blue eyes sizing him up. "You're not a student anymore. You're my apprentice," he said, his tone firm like a contract signed in stone. "Business, leadership, innovation. You'll learn it all here, hands-on. This isn't Crestwood's playbook. This is the real game." Ethan's pulse raced. Him, a farm kid from nowhere, stepping into a billionaire's world? He nodded, throat dry, barely believing it. "Why me, sir?" he managed, the question slipping out before he could stop it. Langston paused, leaning against a desk, his gaze drifting to the city below. "You're me, Ethan. 30 years back. A kid with grit, no silver spoon, just dirt and hustle. Someone gave me a shot once, pulled me out of the muck. Now it's my turn to do the same." Ethan swallowed hard, flashes hitting him. Early mornings hauling hay, Grayson's sneer, Caleb's taunts, all fading against this new reality. Langston walked him through it, showed him the war room where deals got cut, the labs where crops got engineered, the boardroom where millions shifted hands. "You'll shadow my team, learn the ropes, ask questions, get your hands dirty," he said, pointing to a screen mapping fields across the state. "Education's fine, but experience? That's what builds leaders." Ethan's eyes widened. This wasn't just a job. It was a forge, shaping him into something bigger. He thought of his dad, Tom Brooks, back at the farmhouse. Those long nights fixing the tractor, teaching him to push through. Langston clapped a hand on his shoulder, firm and steady. You've got potential, kid. I saw it the second you told me what Grayson did. This is step one. You're not just gonna climb. You're gonna prove every doubter wrong, starting with that school. Ethan's chest swelled, a fire sparking deep. He wasn't dreaming of a better life anymore. He was standing in it, ready to grab it with both hands. The day stretched long. Langston's team pulled Ethan in, tossing him files, explaining supply chains, walking him through numbers that dwarfed anything he'd seen in a textbook. He soaked it up, his mind buzzing, his old life at Crestwood feeling smaller by the minute. Grayson's office, Caleb's locker, the hallway Snickers all shrinking to dust in his rear view. As the sun dipped low, painting the skyline orange, Langston leaned back in his chair, eyeing Ethan across the desk. Day one's done. Still in? Ethan grinned, tired but alive. All in, sir. Langston nodded, a rare warmth breaking through his steel. Good. This is just the beginning, kid. You're gonna run circles around 'em all. Ethan looked out at Dallas, the city sprawling wide and wild, and felt it. Hope wasn't a wish anymore. It was a promise he'd make real. Hang tight, folks. This Texas kid's stepping into the big leagues, and he's got fire in his veins. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell, because Ethan's journey? It's about to light up the sky. This isn't just a Texas tale. It's a gut punch lesson for all of us. Ethan started with nothing but calloused hands and a fire to prove himself. A kid Grayson wrote off as trash. Langston saw different, saw the hustle, the heart, the kid who'd ace tests after hauling hay till midnight. He didn't just save Ethan, he launched him, turned a farm boy into a contender. That's the kicker. Potential doesn't wear a price tag or a designer label. It's in the dirt under your nails, the late nights you push through, the times you get knocked down and stand back up. Ethan grabbed his shot, left Crestwood in the dust, traded textbooks for boardrooms, and he's just getting started. Langston gave him the ladder, but Ethan's climbing it himself, proving hard work beats handouts every time. Grayson's apology, hollow. Caleb's silence, priceless. This is about more than one kid. It's about what happens when someone believes in you and you believe in yourself enough to run with it. What's your story? We've all got our Graysons, bosses, bullies, voices saying we don't belong. We've all got our Calebs, smirking from the sidelines. Ethan's fight says don't let him win. Your shot's out there, waiting. Maybe it's not a chopper landing in your yard, but a chance, a job, a dream, a moment to prove you're more than they think. Who's counted you out? Who's your Langston, stepping up when you need it most? Drop it in the comments, where you're watching from, Texas or Tacoma. I want to hear it. Tell me about the time you flipped the script, or the doubter you're ready to leave in the dust. Hit that subscribe button if Ethan's fire light's yours, because this isn't just his win. It's a call to every underdog out there. Ethan Brooks took a Texas-sized leap, and now it's your turn. Grab your chance, climb your ladder, and show 'em what you're made of. Let's keep this story rolling, folks. One spark at a time.